Thanks for following the story. Please leave a comment below and share your thoughts. Have a nice day. Maya Chen stood in front of the imposing glass building of Reed and Associates, the most prestigious advertising agency in New York, clutching her portfolio. At 26, she was about to interview for her dream job as a creative director. "You must be Maya." A sleek receptionist greeted her. "Mr. Reed will see you now." Maya's heart raced as she entered the corner office. The view of Manhattan was breathtaking, but it wasn't the view that caught her attention. It was the man standing by the window. Lucas Reed turned to face her, and Maya felt her breath catch. He was younger than she'd expected for a CEO, probably in his early 30s, with dark hair and intense gray eyes that seemed to see right through her. "Chen," he said, his voice carrying quiet authority, "your portfolio impressed me." "Thank you, Mr. Reed. Please, sit." He gestured to a chair while taking his own seat behind a massive desk. "Tell me why you want this position." Maya took a deep breath. "Because advertising isn't just about selling products. It's about telling stories that connect with people. Your agency understands that better than anyone." Something flickered in Lucas's eyes, interest perhaps. "And what story would you tell for our newest client?" He slid a file across the desk. Maya opened it to find details about a luxury watch brand wanting to rebrand itself. Without hesitation, she began sharing her vision. As she spoke, she noticed Lucas watching her intently, his expression unreadable. "Interesting approach," he said when she finished. "Different from what we usually do." "Different can be good," Maya replied, meeting his gaze. A slight smile touched his lips. "Indeed it can." He stood, extending his hand. "Welcome to Reed and Associates, Miss Chen." Maya shook his hand, trying to ignore the spark she felt at his touch. This was business, nothing more. She couldn't let herself be attracted to her new boss. But as she left his office, she could feel his eyes following her. And she knew, somehow, that this job would change her life in ways she never expected. Maya's first week at Reed & Associates was a whirlwind. The agency occupied 3 floors of prime Manhattan real estate, filled with creative minds and cutting-edge technology. Her team was talented but challenging. As the youngest creative director in the company's history, she had to prove herself constantly. "Mr. Reed doesn't usually hire people so young," commented Jessica, her art director, with barely concealed skepticism. Maya was determined to show why Lucas had chosen her. She threw herself into the watch brand campaign, working late into the night developing concepts. One evening, as she sat alone in the office, surrounded by sketches, a voice startled her. "You're here late." Lucas stood in her doorway, his tie loosened, jacket gone. Something about seeing him slightly disheveled made him seem more human, more approachable. "Just finalizing some ideas for tomorrow's presentation," she replied. He entered her office, picking up one of her sketches. "Show me." For the next hour, they discussed her concepts. Maya found herself surprised by his creative insight. He wasn't just a businessman, he understood storytelling. "This one," he said, holding up her favorite design. "It's perfect." "But you knew that already, didn't you?" She smiled. "I did." "Trust your instincts, Maya. That's why I hired you." The way he said her name sent a shiver down her spine. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the air between them felt charged with something more than professional respect. Lucas broke the moment first, stepping back. "Good work. Get some rest. Big presentation tomorrow." After he left, Maya sat there, her heart racing. She couldn't deny the attraction she felt, but she had to stay professional. Her career was too important to risk. The next morning's presentation went perfectly. The client loved her concept, and her team finally began to accept her leadership. Drinks to celebrate, Jessica suggested afterward, her earlier skepticism forgotten. The whole team headed to a nearby bar, and to Maya's surprise, Lucas joined them. As the evening progressed, she found herself constantly aware of his presence, the way his eyes found her across the room, how his laugh made her smile. "He watches you, you know," Jessica whispered, slightly tipsy. "I've never seen him look at anyone that way." "Don't be ridiculous," Maya replied. "He's our boss." But when Lucas approached to congratulate her again, his hand briefly touching her shoulder, Maya knew she was in dangerous territory. Because the way he looked at her wasn't just professional admiration, and the way her heart raced wasn't just nerves. This was something else entirely. Something that could either make her dreams come true or shatter them completely. The success of the watch campaign brought more high-profile clients to Reed and Associates. Maya found herself working closely with Lucas on multiple projects, each meeting making it harder to ignore their growing attraction. One afternoon, they were reviewing layouts in his office when their fingers brushed over a design. The brief contact sent electricity through Maya's body. "Sorry," she murmured, pulling back. "Don't be," Lucas said softly, his eyes meeting hers. The moment was interrupted by his assistant announcing their next meeting. Maya gathered her materials quickly, needing to escape the tension in the room. Later that day, Jessica cornered her in the break room. "The office is buzzing with rumors," she warned. "People notice how he looks at you, how much time you spend together. We're working on important projects," Maya defended. "Maybe, but be careful. Office relationships are complicated enough without involving the CEO." Maya knew Jessica was right, but it was getting harder to maintain professional distance. Lucas wasn't just her attractive boss anymore. She'd come to know him as a person. She'd learned how he took his coffee black, no sugar, how he unconsciously ran his hand through his hair when stressed, how passionate he was about creating meaningful advertising. That evening she stayed late again, a habit she'd developed partly because she loved her work and partly because Lucas often did the same. "Still here?" His voice came from her doorway, right on cue. "Just finishing up the airline pitch," she replied, trying to ignore how good he looked with his sleeves rolled up. "Have dinner with me." The words hung in the air between them. Maya's heart stopped. "Lucas, not as your boss," he said quickly. "Just as me. We can't," she whispered, though everything in her wanted to say yes. "The company, my position." He stepped closer. "I know all the reasons why we shouldn't. I've been telling myself the same things for months. But Maya..." He reached out, gently touching her cheek. "Some things are worth the risk." Before she could respond, his phone buzzed, a board member needing his attention. "Think about it," he said, stepping back. "Please." After he left, Maya sat at her desk, her mind in chaos. Everything she'd worked for could be jeopardized if she said yes. But if she said no, would she always wonder what might have been? Maya avoided being alone with Lucas for the next few days, throwing herself into work. But she couldn't avoid the company gala, an annual event celebrating their biggest successes. She chose her dress carefully, elegant but professional, a deep blue that made her feel confident. When she arrived at the luxury hotel venue, conversations paused briefly as people noticed her. "You look stunning," Jessica whispered. "And I'm not the only one who thinks so." Maya followed her friend's gaze to see Lucas watching her from across the room. He wore a perfectly tailored tuxedo that made him even more handsome than usual. Throughout the evening, they circled each other like planets in orbit, always aware of the other's presence, but never quite meeting. Maya could feel his eyes on her as she networked with clients. Finally, during a slow moment, he approached her. "Dance with me," he said softly, extending his hand. She should say no, but the music was playing. Other couples were dancing, and for one moment, she wanted to pretend they were just a man and woman attracted to each other. "One dance," she agreed. His hand on her waist sent shivers through her body. They moved together perfectly, as if they'd danced 1,000 times before. "You've been avoiding me," he murmured. "I've been thinking," she replied. And this is dangerous, Lucas. If it goes wrong, what if it goes right?" The question hung between them as they danced. Maya could feel the warmth of his hand through her dress, smell his subtle cologne. "I can't stop thinking about you," he continued quietly. "I've tried. God knows I've tried. Lucas, tell me you don't feel this too." Before she could respond, someone called his name, another client needing attention. The spell broke, and Maya stepped back quickly. "I need some air," she said, heading for the balcony. The night air was cool on her flushed skin. She heard footsteps behind her and knew without looking that it was Lucas. "Maya," he said, his voice heavy with emotion. "Look at me." She turned, and in that moment, all her carefully constructed walls began to crumble. "We can't," she whispered, but he was already moving closer. "We can," he replied, and then his lips were on hers. The kiss was everything she'd imagined, and more. His hands cupped her face gently as she melted into him, forgetting everything but this moment. When they finally broke apart, reality came crashing back. "Oh God," she stepped back. "What have we done?" The Monday after the gala was torture. Maya couldn't concentrate, the memory of Lucas's kiss haunting her every moment. She'd spent the weekend alternating between replaying that perfect moment and panicking about its implications. When her assistant announced a mandatory creative team meeting, Maya's heart nearly stopped. She hadn't seen Lucas since the kiss, since she'd run away from the balcony, leaving him standing there. But the meeting room held only her team, no Lucas in sight. She felt both relieved and disappointed. The Thompson account needs a new direction. She forced herself to focus. Their market research shows. A knock interrupted her. Lucas entered, professional as ever in a perfectly cut suit. "Sorry to interrupt," he said, not quite meeting her eyes. "Maya, could I see you in my office when you're done?" She nodded, trying to ignore Jessica's knowing look. The meeting dragged on forever. When it finally ended, Maya took her time gathering her materials, her heart pounding. Lucas's office door was open when she arrived. He stood by the window, tension visible in his shoulders. "Close the door," he said quietly. She did, then stood awkwardly, unsure what to do with her hands. About Saturday night, they both started simultaneously, then smiled, despite the tension. "You go first," Lucas offered. Maya took a deep breath. "What happened? It can't happen again. I've worked too hard to get here. I can't be the woman who slept her way to the top." "Is that what you think this is?" He turned to face her fully. "Maya, I've never felt this way about anyone. This isn't about work or position, but that's exactly what everyone will think." She ran a hand through her hair in frustration. "The young creative director and the CEO. The rumors are already starting. I don't care about rumors." "Well, I do. My work is finally being taken seriously. I can't risk." "Risk what? Happiness?" He stepped closer. "Tell me Saturday night meant nothing to you. Tell me you don't feel this connection between us." "Lucas, please, just be honest. If you can look me in the eye and say you feel nothing, I'll never mention it again." Maya met his gaze, intending to do just that. But she couldn't lie, not to him, not about this. "I can't," she whispered. The tension between them was electric. Lucas moved closer still, close enough that she could feel the heat from his body. "Then maybe," he said softly, "some risks are worth taking." Before she could respond, his office door opened. It was Sarah Porter, head of the board of directors. "Lucas, we need to discuss." "Oh." She looked between them, noting their proximity. "I'm interrupting something." Maya stepped back quickly. "No. We were just discussing the Thompson account. I was leaving." She fled the office, her cheeks burning. But she could feel Lucas's eyes following her, and she knew this was far from over. The next few weeks were a delicate dance. During the day, Maya and Lucas maintained strict professionalism, but the undercurrent of tension was impossible to ignore. Their meetings were filled with loaded glances and accidental touches that felt anything but accidental. One evening, Maya was presenting a new campaign to a difficult client when everything went wrong. The client hated her concept, demanding major changes just days before the deadline. "This isn't what we asked for at all," the client snapped. "Perhaps we should take our business elsewhere." Before Maya could respond, Lucas stepped in smoothly. "If I may," he said, pulling up some of Maya's initial sketches, "what Miss Chen has created here is actually exactly what your market needs, even if it's not what you initially thought you wanted." He proceeded to break down the campaign brilliantly, showing how Maya's concept would revolutionize their brand. By the end, the client was not only convinced, but excited. After the meeting, Maya found Lucas in his office. "Thank you," she said softly. "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did." He looked up from his desk. "I'll always defend good work." "And you're the best creative director this agency has ever had." "Just the creative director?" The words slipped out before she could stop them. Lucas stood slowly, moving around his desk. "No," he said quietly. "Not just the creative director. They were standing too close again, the air charged between them." "Lucas," she whispered, "we agreed. We agreed to be professional." "And we have been. But Maya," his hand came up to cup her cheek, "I'm tired of pretending I don't want to kiss you every time you walk into a room." Her resolve was crumbling. "The board. Sarah already suspects. Half the office does. We can't hide this forever. It could ruin everything. Or it could be everything." This time when he kissed her, she didn't run away. Instead, she kissed him back, pouring weeks of suppressed feelings into the moment. When they finally broke apart, Maya rested her forehead against his. "What do we do now?" she asked. "Have dinner with me. A real date, away from the office. Let's see what this could be." She knew she should say no, but looking into his eyes, she found herself nodding. "Tomorrow night?" "Tomorrow night." As she left his office, Maya felt both terrified and exhilarated. She was about to cross a line that couldn't be uncrossed. But for the first time in her career, she was choosing her heart over her head. Their first real date was at a small Italian restaurant in Brooklyn, far from their usual Manhattan haunts. Maya had chosen a simple black dress, wanting this to feel different from their work interactions. When she arrived, Lucas was already waiting, looking more relaxed than she'd ever seen him in jeans and a cashmere sweater. "You look beautiful," he said, kissing her cheek. Without the office dynamics between them, conversation flowed naturally. Maya learned about his childhood, growing up with a father who built the agency from nothing. Lucas heard about her immigrant parents' sacrifice to send her to art school. "Is that why you work so hard?" he asked. "To make their sacrifice worth it?" "Partly," she admitted. "But mostly because I love what I do. Creating something that connects with people, it's magic. That's why I hired you," Lucas smiled. "Your passion shows in everything you do." "Everything?" she teased. He reached across the table, taking her hand. "Everything." After dinner, neither wanted the evening to end. They walked through Brooklyn Bridge Park, the Manhattan skyline glittering across the water. "This feels surreal," Maya said. "Being here with you, like this. Good surreal or bad surreal?" "Good." "Terrifying, but good." Lucas stopped walking, turning to face her. "Maya, the first need you to know something. This isn't casual for me. What I feel for you." She placed a finger on his lips. "I know. Me too. That's what makes it scary." He kissed her then, soft and sweet, against the backdrop of the city lights. Maya melted into him, feeling for the first time that maybe they could make this work. The moment was broken by the flash of a camera phone. A group of young people walked past, one of them clearly recognizing Lucas. Was that? Maya stepped back, panic rising. "Probably nothing," Lucas tried to reassure her. "But maybe we should go." The ride back to Maya's apartment was quiet, both lost in thought about what a public relationship would mean. At her door, Lucas cupped her face gently. "I don't want to hide this, Maya. I want to be able to take you to dinner, hold your hand, kiss you without looking over my shoulder. The board won't like it. The media will have a field day. Let them. You're worth it." He kissed her goodnight, leaving her to wonder if she was brave enough to face what coming out as a couple would mean. The next morning, her answer came in the form of a gossip blog post. "Reed and Associates CEOs. Late-night romance. Who's the mystery woman?" The photo was grainy, but recognizable. Their private moment had become public. Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Lucas. "We'll handle this together. I promise." By Monday morning, the office was buzzing with gossip. Maya kept her head high as she walked to her office, ignoring the whispers and stares. Jessica rushed in moments later. "Have you seen the comments on that blog post? Everyone's trying to figure out who you are." "Great," Maya groaned. "Just what I needed." Her phone lit up with a message from Lucas. "Emergency board meeting in 10 minutes. Don't worry." But Maya did worry. She'd worked too hard to have her reputation tarnished by office romance rumors. When she entered the boardroom, Sarah Porter and the other directors were already seated. Lucas stood at the head of the table, looking confident despite the tension in the room. "Let's address the elephant in the room," Sarah began. "Lucas, this relationship with a subordinate is personal," Lucas interrupted firmly. "But since you've brought it up, yes, Maya and I are seeing each other." And before anyone suggests impropriety, Maya earned her position through talent and hard work. "Our personal relationship developed after. The optics are still problematic," another director argued. "The optics?" Lucas's voice hardened. "Maya's department has brought in 3 major clients since she took over. Profits are up 30%. Judge her on her work, not her personal life." Maya finally found her voice. "If my relationship with Lucas makes anyone uncomfortable, I'll resign." "No," Lucas said sharply. "You won't." Actually, Sarah interjected, "There might be a solution." She turned to Maya. "Your work has been exceptional. We've been considering opening a West Coast office. It would mean a promotion, executive creative director, running your own division." Maya's heart sank. "A promotion that would send her across the country. That won't be necessary," Lucas said, his eyes meeting Maya's. "Because I'm stepping down as CEO." The room erupted in chaos. "What?" Maya gasped. "I've been considering it for months," Lucas explained. "My father's agency has grown beyond his dreams. Now it's time for new leadership. Sarah would make an excellent CEO." Sarah looked stunned. "Lucas, think about what you're saying." "I have. My father built this agency to pass it on to me, but I want to build something of my own." He walked to Maya's side. "With someone who inspires me." The board sat in shocked silence. "We'll need time to discuss this," Sarah finally said. As they left the boardroom, Maya pulled Lucas into an empty office. "You can't give up the agency." "Not for me. I'm not giving it up for you," he cupped her face. "I'm choosing a future I want instead of one that was chosen for me. You helped me see that possibility. But your father's legacy will be preserved. But it's time for my own legacy." He kissed her softly. "And I want you to be part of it." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of change. Lucas's announcement to step down sent shockwaves through the advertising industry. Business magazines speculated about his reasons, while gossip columns linked it to his mystery woman. Maya threw herself into work, determined to prove herself more than ever. But late one night, Lucas found her still at her desk. "You don't have to work twice as hard now," he said softly. "Everyone knows your value, do they?" She looked up tiredly. "All I hear are whispers about how I supposedly seduced the CEO into giving up his company." Lucas knelt beside her chair. "Maya, look at me. Those people don't matter. What matters is this." He pulled out his phone, showing her a proposal for a new agency, our agency. The plans were brilliant. A boutique firm focusing on innovative, socially conscious advertising. Everything Maya had always wanted to create. "You're serious about this?" "Completely. We'll start small. Build something meaningful together." He took her hand. "But only if you want to." Maya studied the proposal, excitement building. "We'd be equals, partners in every way." He smiled. "No more boss-employee complications." She laughed, then grew serious. "What about the board? They've accepted my decision. Sarah will take over as CEO next month. We're free to start fresh." The reality of what he was offering hit her. Not just a relationship, but a true partnership. A chance to build something together. "There's just one condition," Lucas added, reaching into his pocket. Maya's breath caught as he pulled out a small velvet box. "Lucas, I know it's fast," he said quickly. "But when you know, you know. You challenge me, inspire me, make me want to be better. Marry me, Maya. Let's build our future together, all of it." Maya stared at the beautiful ring, emotions overwhelming her. 6 months ago, she'd walked into this building hoping for a job. Now she was being offered everything she'd ever dreamed of. Career, love, partnership. "People will say we're crazy," she whispered. "Let them." He smiled. "Some things are worth being crazy for." Maya took a deep breath, looking at the man kneeling before her, the man who was willing to give up everything to build something new with her. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes to all of it." The joy on Lucas's face made her heart soar as he slipped the ring onto her finger. When he kissed her, there was no hesitation, no fear of being seen. They were finally free to be together openly. The news of their engagement broke the next day. This time, Maya held her head high as she walked through the office. The whispers couldn't hurt her anymore. "Well, well," Jessica grinned, examining the ring. "From office scandal to power couple. You two don't do anything halfway, do you?" Sarah called them both to her office that afternoon. "I hope you know what you're doing," she said. But her eyes were kind. "The industry will be watching your new venture closely." "We're counting on it," Lucas replied, squeezing Maya's hand. They spent evenings planning both their wedding and their new agency. Maya's parents, initially shocked by the whirlwind romance, warmed to Lucas when they saw how he valued their daughter's talents. "You make each other better," Maya's mother observed one night after dinner. "That's rare." Their last day at Reed & Associates was bittersweet. As they packed up their offices, Maya found the sketch that had started it all, her first campaign concept. "Keep it," Lucas said, wrapping his arms around her waist. "It'll be perfect for our new office wall." Speaking of the new office, Maya turned in his embrace. "I have something to show you." She pulled out her tablet, revealing designs for their agency's first campaign, their own launch. "It's about transformation," she explained. "About having the courage to choose love over fear, passion over safety." Lucas studied the concept, admiration clear in his eyes. "It's perfect. Just like you." "We're really doing this," Maya marveled. "Starting our own agency, getting married, having it all," he finished, kissing her softly. They left Reed & Associates hand in hand, ready to begin their new chapter. Their new agency, Reed & Chen Creative, opened in a converted loft space in Chelsea. The industrial chic office reflected their combined vision, innovative yet welcoming, professional but creative. You know, Maya said as they arranged her artwork on the walls. A year ago, I never would have imagined this. What part? Running your own agency or marrying your boss? Lucas teased. Both. Neither. She smiled. Everything. Their first client meeting was with a sustainable fashion brand. Exactly the kind of socially conscious company they wanted to work with. We love your vision, the client said after Maya's presentation. But aren't you worried about starting a new agency and planning a wedding at the same time? Maya glanced at Lucas before answering. Actually, we see it as an advantage. Building our company while building our life together, it makes both stronger. They won the account. More clients followed as word spread about the new boutique agency run by advertising's most talked about couple. Their campaigns were fresh, daring, different from anything Reed and Associates had done. One evening, as they worked late finalizing wedding details, Maya found Lucas staring at a photo of his father. Having second thoughts? She asked softly. About us? Never. He pulled her into his lap. I was just thinking about legacy. Dad built Reed and Associates to last generations. But creating something new with you, this feels more meaningful. Because it's ours, Maya understood. Our choice, our vision. Exactly. He kissed her temple. Though speaking of choices, we still haven't decided on a honeymoon destination. I have an idea about that, Maya grinned, pulling out her tablet. What if we combine it with business? She showed him her plan, meetings with potential international clients in Paris, Rome, and Tokyo, mixed with romantic getaways. Always the creative director, Lucas laughed. Finding ways to blend work and pleasure. Is that a yes? With you? Always yes. As their wedding day approached, Maya realized something important. Their love story wasn't just about overcoming obstacles or choosing between career and romance. It was about finding someone who made both better. Someone who saw your dreams and helped make them bigger. Their wedding was an intimate affair held in a rooftop garden, overlooking the city. The ceremony space blended their professional and personal lives. Modern, creative, yet deeply romantic. Maya wore a sleek designer gown, while Lucas couldn't take his eyes off her as she walked down the aisle. A year ago, he began his vows. A brilliant, stubborn woman walked into my office and changed everything. She made me question what I wanted, who I wanted to be. Maya, you didn't just steal my heart. You showed me a better version of myself. Tears glistened in Maya's eyes as she responded. Lucas, you taught me that sometimes the biggest risks bring the greatest rewards. That love doesn't have to come at the cost of ambition. With you, I found a partner in every sense of the word. Jessica, serving as maid of honor, dabbed at her eyes. Who knew office romance could be so beautiful? The reception was a celebration of their unique journey. Instead of traditional wedding favors, they gave each guest a creative kit with the message, "Build your own love story." Sarah Porter attended, now successfully leading Reed and Associates. You two proved me wrong, she admitted. Sometimes breaking the rules is exactly right. Later, during their first dance, Lucas held Maya close. Happy? Perfect, she smiled. Though I did just think of a brilliant campaign concept. Lucas laughed. Even at our wedding? You're incorrigible. That's why you love me. One of many reasons. As they danced, Maya caught glimpses of their new office through the windows, their shared dream taking physical form in the city skyline. We did it, she whispered. Built something real together. This is just the beginning, Lucas promised, kissing her softly. Their honeymoon was as unique as their relationship, a perfect blend of business and romance. In Paris, they signed a major fashion house while stealing kisses under the Eiffel Tower. In Rome, they pitched to an eco-friendly luxury brand between visits to ancient ruins. Only we would schedule client meetings on our honeymoon, Maya laughed as they strolled through Tokyo's bustling streets after a successful presentation. We're building our empire. Lucas pulled her close. Besides, I kind of love watching you dazzle clients in between tourist stops. Back in New York, Reed and Chen Creative was flourishing. Their unconventional approach attracted clients who wanted something different. Their campaigns won awards, but more importantly, they made real impact. One evening, as they worked late in their office, Maya noticed Lucas being unusually quiet. What's on your mind? She asked, perching on his desk. I just got off the phone with Sarah, he said, taking her hand. Reed and Associates is struggling with the Thompson account, the one you saved before. They want us to collaborate on it. Maya raised an eyebrow. How do you feel about that? Honestly, I'm proud. They're coming to us because we're the best, not because of my name. Partners in success, Maya smiled. Just like we planned, but Lucas wasn't finished. There's something else. I've been thinking maybe it's time to expand our family, not just our business. Maya's heart skipped. They'd discussed children in theory, but now, are you saying what I think you're saying? I'm saying I want everything with you, Maya. Career, family, all of it. We've proven we can balance work and love. Why not add one more challenge? Maya leaned down to kiss him softly. You know this means redesigning the office to add a nursery. Already working on the plans, he grinned. The creative director in you is rubbing off on me. A baby, Maya marveled. Another adventure together, the best one yet. A year later, their office had indeed been redesigned to include a beautiful nursery space. Maya's pregnancy had only enhanced her creativity, though it did make client meetings interesting. I think your daughter just kicked in approval of that concept, she told Lucas during a presentation, making their clients laugh. One morning, as Maya reviewed designs from her team, she felt the first contractions. Lucas was in a meeting when her assistant rushed in. It's time, was all Maya needed to say. The entire office erupted in excitement. Their team had become like family, all invested in this next chapter of their story. At the hospital, as Maya squeezed Lucas's hand through contractions, she managed to joke. This is harder than launching a new campaign. But the end result will be even better, he promised, kissing her forehead. After hours of labor, Sophia Reed Chen entered the world, a perfect blend of both her parents. She had Lucas's dark hair and Maya's creative spirit, evident even in her first days. She's already art directing her nursery. Lucas laughed, watching their daughter's eyes track the colorful mobile above her crib. Returning to work with a baby brought new challenges, but they faced them together. Meetings were sometimes interrupted by baby giggles, and important calls happened during nap time, but somehow, it made everything richer. We're showing her that you can have it all, Maya said one evening, watching Sophia play in her office nursery while they worked. Career, family, love. Speaking of having it all, Lucas smiled mysteriously. I have something to show you. He pulled up plans on his tablet, designs for a new office building. Reed and Chen Creative has outgrown this space, he explained. I think it's time for our next big move. Maya studied the plans, noting the expanded nursery space and family-friendly features throughout. Building an agency where work and family truly blend, she marveled. We're rewriting all the rules. That's what we do best. Lucas pulled her close, their daughter crawling toward them. Break rules, make dreams, create our own story. 5 years later, Reed and Chen Creative had become one of the most respected agencies in New York, known not just for their innovative campaigns, but for revolutionizing how business and family life could coexist. Their new office building was a testament to their vision. Creative spaces flowed seamlessly into family areas, and the sound of children's laughter mixed with business discussions. Maya stood in her office, now pregnant with their second child, watching Sophia draw at her little desk. At 5, she was already showing signs of being a creative powerhouse like her parents. Mommy, look. Sophia held up her drawing. It's our next big idea. Just like her mother, Lucas said from the doorway, smiling at their daughter's enthusiasm. They had just won Agency of the Year, but their greatest success was the family-friendly business culture they'd created. Other companies were starting to follow their model. Remember when we thought we had to choose between love and career? Maya asked, leaning into Lucas's embrace. Best decision we ever made was choosing both, he replied, kissing her softly. Sarah Porter, still CEO of Reed and Associates, had become a close friend and frequent collaborator. You two didn't just build an agency, she told them at their anniversary party. You built a new way of thinking about work and life. That evening, after putting Sophia to bed, Maya and Lucas stood on their office rooftop garden, the same place they'd gotten married. I have news, Maya said, showing Lucas her tablet. We just landed the biggest sustainable fashion account in Paris. That's not all you have to tell me. Lucas smiled knowingly. How did you? I have a brilliant idea face. I know it well, Maya laughed. Well, I was thinking, what if we opened a Paris office? Expand internationally? Sophia would love living in France for a while, and with the new baby. Always thinking bigger, Lucas pulled her close. That's why I fell in love with you. Is that a yes? With you? It's always yes. As they stood there, overlooking the city where their story began, Maya thought about their journey. From forbidden office romance to industry pioneers, They'd proven that love didn't have to come at the cost of ambition. They'd built something extraordinary, a business, a family, a life, all because they were brave enough to break the rules and follow their hearts. "Ready for our next adventure?" Lucas asked, his hand resting on her growing belly. Maya smiled, thinking of all they'd achieved and all that lay ahead. "With you, always ready." Because that was their real success story, not just in building a revolutionary agency or a beautiful family, but in proving that, with the right partner, you really could have it all. Life isn't about choosing between love and ambition, it's about having the courage to build both. Maya and Lucas proved that success isn't just about climbing the corporate ladder, but about creating a future where passion, career, and love thrive together. So ask yourself, what risks are you willing to take for the life you truly want? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more inspiring tales. See you in the next video.